Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today we're going to do the 2022 Bur Oak Assessment. And here is my stuff right here. I have just a little rag that I can set the camera on. I'm going to carry all my stuff in this bucket, and after the first couple trees it might get a little wet in there, so I want something to set the camera on. I need a big fat tape measure to get the heights. I used to be able to do it with a little one like this. This is one of them marking posts for marking like a driveway or whatever. It is exactly 6 feet long, so I'll use this, hold it up to the very top of the tree, and then measure from this bottom part to the ground on the trees that are too tall to just use a tape measure. There's probably 4 trees that are like that. This is all the stuff from from the last couple years, just to give me a reminder. I got some notes from the last couple years. This is probably the last year I'll be able to use a regular caliper like this. I'll probably have to get a nice big one for next year. Next year will be the last of the assessments on this first 12 right here. And a saw for pruning. I just cleaned that with isopropyl alcohol. And a brand new shears. My good shears are locked in the barn right now, and this will do a real good job. It's brand new, like I said. So that should be all the stuff that I need. I'm going to try to get as much of this stuff in my pocket as I can, because I don't want it jangling around in here. Yeah, the calipers will have to go in here. And yeah, see, if I had my Felco pruners, I could put them in a sheath on my belt, but it is what it is. Okay, not too bad. And we'll put this in the pocket. I didn't want to get this all wet, but it really doesn't matter. I'm throwing this away after I'm done. Once I get everything recorded, I'm going to record that on a notepad. I'll enter it in on the computer for this year. We have our 12 original trees, and then the trees along Battle there that were planted the year after that. And these are the trees I planted this spring. It's actually 2023 now, just into 2023, but this is the 2022 assessment. And we have 5 trees that were planted this year. I believe we're only going to plant 3 trees next year. We got to do some woods clearing before we can plant any more, but nothing wrong with 3 trees. Okay, so just like in previous years, we will start, well, actually the first year, I went back over all that stuff. The first year we started with the last tree over here, and I called that 1. But the next 2 years after that, we started with the furthest tree. So we're going to start with that furthest tree again. That is number 1, and the one right back here is number 12. All right, let's get up there and start. Oh, wait a second. I do the caliper at 12 and 24 inches. I do the height, and I prune and protect. But I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to protect right away. I think I'll have to do that later. I'll just mark it down in my notes which ones need protecting, and I'll go by the deer prints in the snow or rabbit prints. I doubt that there'll be any rabbit prints. I don't know why this is leaking. It's probably because it's thawing out and pushing the liquid up the spout there. This was frozen solid. It was out in the other section right there in the garage area. Yeah, I don't know if I want this on the heat like that or not. I think maybe we'll just let this thaw naturally, put it in the sun, and like I said, we'll just mark it down as need to come back and spray, and then come back and spray it. It's going to be 44 degrees today. It's probably getting close to that right now. And relatively low wind is what they're calling for, but I just walked the dogs and it was fairly windy, so hopefully that's not going to affect us too much. I don't really need gloves. I'm wondering if I should bring them. Probably not. Okay, that's my kit. Let's get out there and start with number one. It's incredibly sunny out here, and I'm kind of snowblind from the snow right here. Okay, look at the bark on this tree. This is number one. I got the dimensions, and it grew 40 inches this last year, and the trunk went from a little less than 2.5 to 3.5 at 12 inches, and less than 2 to 3.25 at 24 inches. Yeah, this tree is growing incredibly well. The only thing that I think I need to prune is this crossing one right here. It goes right in the crotch of that stuff and then comes out here. I think I'll remove that. I probably can't do it without, oh yeah, I can probably do it with just the hand shears. So I think that's it. On these oak trees, I don't want to remove more than I need to. I can always do it the next year, but if it doesn't look pressing, I'm going to leave it alone. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, that is a beautiful tree. All right, this is number one. Number two looks like it grew quite a bit as well. Let's go check that out. Tree number two almost doubled the trunk size. I'll go over all the numbers at the very end, but it's got a fair amount of the bur oak looking trunk, not as much as number one, but this one gained 20 inches in height and it got a lot wider. In previous videos, it just had tiny little branches. They do that the first couple of years. They keep the branches nice and tight to the trunk, and it's possible they do that because of the wind. Until they get a good root system, they don't want to spread out and catch all that wind. Yeah, I'll be taking out this fence this year. Some of these trees, like this one here, is going to get way the heck out to here, and it's going to get real hard to mow this without taking out that fence. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, I think the next one is the first one that was like a trouble tree. We'll go check that out. Okay, this is the one that came up and it went probably to here. It was just like a whip, and it only had leaves at the top, I believe. It might have had, yeah, it probably did have some down below. You can go back in the older videos and look at that. But I cut the top off right here last year, and it grew all this. This grew nearly 30 inches in this last year, and these sides really took off as well. I do believe I measured to this one right here, and I think I'm going to take, well, actually, I think I'll take this one off. They're about the, yeah, they're probably exactly the same. I'll take this one off so it has a single trunk. Yeah, it's going to be an odd shaped tree, but it should look pretty cool. And we don't want it spreading out its energy on a V trunk like that. We'll take this one off and let it go straight up for a while. Yeah, this one improved vastly. It'll be real cool if these lower branches just keep going along the ground. That's what a lot of these do. And then the animals use it for shelter. Yeah, this one is really improved. There we go. That should do it. And that next one, I believe that was like a double trunk for 2 years in a row. I'll check my notes, but that was a real troubled tree as well. The one after that was always real nice, but yeah, I believe this is the one that I cut back to the ground. It was only like 14 or 15 inches tall for a winter. Yeah, let's go check that one out. All right, this is the one. This one, I don't know how tall it was. It was as tall as all the other ones when it was planted, and it pretty much died back. You could see where it had, this was a new shoot coming off of the main tree. This is where the main tree used to be. I cut that off and kept a little tiny shoot like that. It looked really nice though, and I caged it. I put a cage kind of looped over the top of it for the winter, and then the next year I believe I had to prune it real heavily again, and this is what I got out of it. It looks like I'm going to have to do the same in the near future. I don't like this 3 trunk stuff right here. Maybe I'll leave it. We'll see what it does this year. I don't think it needs any pruning this year. This is kind of weird too, that the main stem goes off to the right like that, and then it has this water shoot coming up straight up. Don't know what I'll do with that, but if I do prune this, it'll be next year. Yeah, this is the comeback kid. This thing, I thought it was dead twice, and now it's a fairly robust tree. Yeah, it's a lot windier out here than the forecast said it was going to be. This is tree number 5. This grew exactly 2 feet over the last year. I measured to that stem over there. It is not the main stem, but this might be starting to branch out, and it may not have that main stem anymore. This tree is real beautiful shape to it. It might need a little bit of pruning. Like this right here is a water shoot. It comes out and then goes straight up. We don't want anything like that where it goes out and straight up like that. So I'll probably prune that off, but I think I'm going to let it go until next year. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to take anything off of this. It's got a lot of crossing little stuff down there, but a lot of that stuff is just going to die anyways. So I think we're just going to wait on this till next year. Looks really good. Okay, that's it for number 5. Oh, yeah, I'll tell you the trunk diameters, but most of these trunk diameters are nearly twice the size of last year. Yeah, that's impressive. All of these were, like that last year. All right, we have a real stiff breeze at my back. Hopefully it's not affecting the audio. All right, this was always the sickliest tree. It was the sickliest tree in the first and second year, and last year it had 3 trunks. I kept one of them. The actual main trunk was taken out and another trunk off to the side, and I kept this one because it looked the healthiest. This grew 3 feet this year, mostly this right here, and it's got this new one right here that I'm going to take out. So this one is actually starting to look okay now. It has very minimal branching. It's just these 3 branches in the main trunk. But again, this had 3 trunks, and this is all from them 3 trunks. So maybe there's hope for this one yet. But again, this year it was the kind of the worst performer again. We'll have to see on this one. I think it's going to make it, but it sure is taking a long time. And just for the record, this is number 6. I don't know if I said that or not. All right, let's take that. Let's see if we can see all that stuff. There is the original trunk. This was coming off the side of that. There's another trunk right there. Yeah. Don't know about this one, but we'll see. Okay, this one had like a long stick with like an umbrella of leaves at the top, and it had some real nice growth coming out at the base. And I believe I took off the original one. I can't really see down here. Yeah, there's the scars. I took off the original one, and this is the regrowth. This only grew about 12 inches this year, and you can see it's growing real slow. That was bitten off. It's only about 3 inches, but it was bitten off. Yeah, this one grew like 8 to 12 inches on its branches and its top this year. Not the fastest growing, but it looks really nice. It's got a bit of crossing stuff going on here. I think I'll just take this one out that's crossing underneath, and probably a little bit of this stuff right here, and then we'll call it a day on this one. Yeah, it looks really nice, but it's just like a miniature version of these bigger ones coming up. Let's take that off right there. And that right there. And that one right there. And that should do it. All right, this was number 7, on to number 8. Yeah, this wind kind of sucks. All right, this one grew 32 inches this year. And like some of the other ones, it has kind of 2 tops on it. This one has a lot of crossing stuff. This is crossing, it's rubbing on it. This one is rubbing on this, and there's a good amount of it down in here. I'm going to prune all that stuff off. And like I said, in future years, I'm not going to do all that. We'll just let it go maybe in a year or 2. But for now, this is one of the best looking trees. This is number 8. We're right by the opening to the pasture here. There's one on this side and one on the other side. This has always been a real nice looking tree. And yeah, we'll get rid of some of that rubbing stuff, because if it rubs an open wound, the tree can get like a blight or something like that. And we'll try to avoid that until the tree gets a bit bigger. Start off by taking off this right here. It's kind of hard to get in here. All right. And then this one in the center here. All right. That's real good for the top. Then we got one going downwards here. And where was that other one? These two are kind of rubbing. So take that one off. And like I said, if this was an apple tree, I'd go nuts on it. There's a lot more that I would take off, but it's not an apple tree, it's a bur oak, and I'm going to leave the rest of this. All right, this is probably the weirdest tree of them all. This grew nearly 40 inches this year. I believe this is the old top that was down here at one point. It actually looked like a fairly decent tree at one time. It's in one of the most prime spots, so it was probably one of the best looking trees when I did the original planting. But then the top shot up like that, and then it shot up again with just a stick like that. And these side branches just kind of did this weird splayed thing. I can't really tell what this thing's going to do, if it's going to look all right or not. It looks really weird right now. And if it doesn't branch out, I don't know what the heck to do with this. I mean, there's no real good way to prune it. Yeah, you got this long stem, and then this cluster here, and then a long stem again. What do you do with that? I mean, I could cut it off right here, but I don't know if these are going to do anything. So this one gets absolutely nothing done to it. Like I said, it grew 40 inches roughly this year, and it grew way out to the side. I believe this is all new growth. It's probably got 18 inches to 2 feet of new growth on the sides as well, but it's just really weird looking. Let's step back. Yeah, that's an odd tree. This is number 9, and it's the closest one to the wood shop, and it turns out to be the weirdest looking one. It might be just fine in a couple of years. We'll see. Hopefully this year it starts to do some branching and do something with this mess up here. All right, let's go on. What are we? Number 10, right there by the other opening to the pasture. All right, I had to step on the other side of the fence to see this whole tree. This is 120 inches tall, exactly 10 feet, and it grew 2 feet since last year. I believe it was last year that this one had a water sprout growing from the bottom, a pretty big one. It was coming out of here somewhere. That's probably the scar right there. Fully healed scar. It could have been on the bottom, but I don't think so. Yeah, this is a really nice tree. I really don't see anything that I want to prune off of this one. It's got a little bit of crossing stuff here. Yeah, I'll get that right away. But otherwise, that looks like that's about it. This is a really nice tree, and it's right behind the shop. I really like that. And we got the 2 biggest trees right behind the shop as well. We'll get to those in just a second. Let me cut this off and we'll be done with this. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay. Got to step back a good bit for this one. This, I believe, is the second tallest tree, but looks like it might be the first tallest this year. We'll check that in just a second. Again, if you've seen any of the other videos, this got bitten back really bad by the Arabian horses we had one year, and it got bitten back a little bit by our other horses in another year as well, but you can't even see where that happened. This is a beautiful looking tree. Really nice and spread out. This was splaying. It looked like this trunk and that trunk were the same size and it was going to V out, but that's not the case anymore. The trunk is going this way and it looks really nice. All right, let's get the dimension to way up there, and then let's take a look at this trunk. Yeah, that is beautiful. Real nice and corky. Deep cork. Same here. Look at how deep that is. Beautiful looking. I explained it in other videos, but this bark gives the white oak its fireproofness. It's not fireproof, but if a fire were to go through here and burn all the grasses, it would scorch the tree and maybe damage it here and there, but usually it will not kill it. Yeah, look at how corky that is. Same thing right there. Beautiful tree. All right, let's get our stick and get a measurement on this. Yeah, I want to show more of this tree. Just a beautiful tree. If you like bur oaks, which I do. Look at how gnarly that thing is. What an awesome tree. All right, one more to go, and then we have the ones along the road there. And I think that's all I'm going to do in this video. We'll be taking a look at all of the trees as soon as it starts warming up and they start getting leaves. But as far as the measurements go, I'm only going to measure these 12 that I've been doing for 4 years now, and the ones right along the road right there. Again, we have to step back a bit to see the whole tree. I don't know. I think this one might be a little shorter than that one, but we'll see in a second. This one has gone back and forth between being the best tree and the second best tree. These two have gone back and forth. That one looks so nice right now, but this one looks pretty awesome too. This one has more of a vertical growth habit, but I like them both. Yeah, and this one is not as gnarly as that one. That's the most gnarly by far. It's got areas that are pretty darn gnarly. Yeah, look at this here. Pretty darn gnarly. Yeah, I guess. Maybe about the same. Okay, let's get our stick and get our measurement. The stick is 6 feet long, so it's whatever, 6 feet long plus whatever it takes to get to the ground. Yeah, beautiful tree. All right, the only thing that I'm gonna prune off is that little nugget right there. It's just a cluster of nothingness. I believe I mentioned this last year. I wanted to see what it was going to do, and it just did more of nothing. It added this on here and a little bit on the length there, but it's not going anywhere. We'll watch this stuff too. May turn into something. These low branches like this one right here are very desirable. Those will sometimes actually go into the ground and come back up again, but they form that low canopy and the animals use that a lot. Yeah, this is a beautiful tree. All right, this one grew, I believe it's 28 inches, but again, I'll mention all that stuff at the very end. But this one has a 3-inch trunk. This has the biggest trunk, and it's 140 inches tall, which would make this the tallest by a little bit. This one's a little bit taller than that one. So this is our biggest tree right here, and probably the prettiest bur oak specimen you're gonna get. I like that one because it's more gnarly, but this is like a perfect specimen right here. Beautiful tree. All right, my battery is almost dead. We're gonna go get that charged, and then I'll go look at those, I think there's 6 there, the trees along the road there, and that'll wrap it up. Okay, I got the last of the dimensions. I'll show you this stuff on screen. I'll transcribe this into the document this came from, and I got some notes that I want to plant 3 new trees this year. I think I'm just going to do either 1 foot or 2 foot. They appear to do a lot better, and it's probably because the taproot it's not a big taproot that's damaged. It's just a little taproot, and it can regrow that taproot faster because the trees along the road over here, some of them are really nice. What do we got here? 105.5 inches, and it's only 2 years old. It's bigger than a whole bunch of the 3-year-old, well, they're 4 years old now. So that's what this is all about. I went and looked at some of the trees that are planted this way as well in the Oak Savanna Restoration Project, and I did a little pruning there. I'm going to show all of the trees. I'm going to go take the whole loop and see what's still alive as soon as the snow melts and they start budding out. So this is going to end this. Like I said, I'll show you this online, and we'll go over how much all of the trees grew this year, and we'll wrap things up from there.